Welcome back to the Real Power Podcast. Another freaking awesome guest today. We got Luke Thomas. Luke is the owner of H&L Design and Build, a full-service turnkey design and residential building company. Started the company back in 2019 and has doubled in revenue every year since, which is absolutely insane. He's a fifth-generation son of a blue-collar father, married for 20 years, 3 beautiful children, has serviced 17 years in nonprofit church ministry, and just loves empowering people. And I love that part right there. This show is going to be fire. I can feel it in my bones. Me and Luke have already been chatting for 10 minutes, and we're like, we got to start recording now. Stay tuned to the end because it's going to be a good one. Luke, thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Excited for what you're doing. You jumping out and saying, okay, I want more. I want that real power, that freedom. You know, it's interesting when you risk and you're consistent, it does happen. Mm-hmm. It's like the cliche American dream actually is still alive.
It's so true. And you're taking that risk too. And obviously you guys are absolutely crushing it. So let's start from the beginning. Take us back to whenever it was when entrepreneurship began for you. How does your journey begin?
Yeah, I think we could go back quite a ways actually, because as you mentioned, I'm fifth generation blue collar. My dad was working for manufacturing and engineering, but not as an engineer originally. He was a tool and die apprentice, and he would stand by the dude who was actually operating the machine, and he learned, and he went up the corporate ladder in a way, but in a blue-collar environment, to the point where he was manager, and he was pricing government contracts to build crazy tanks and planes and all that kind of stuff. And he had enough aptitude, experience, and courage to say, I think I want to do this on my own. So he got a business partner, they got a vision, they got a plan, they networked, and they started their own tool die manufacturing company.
Cool.
But then the recession hit back in, I think it was 95, 97.
Yeah, the .com.
Yep. Where an enormous amount of manufacturing went overseas. We saw the fall of Kodak, Xerox here in Rochester. And he was a small fish in a big pond that had just started and was trying to cash flow this thing. And I remember sitting at the dinner table, and I remember seeing the stress on his face. But even though there was an air of stress, there was still a freedom that my dad had, where he would leave work early, or he would go in late, or he would have to go on a Saturday, but he would be able to count the cost to us boys. And say, this is why I'm doing this. And he slugged it out. And although in the end, some would say it failed, I would say it first gave me the idea that anybody can. Anybody can. Mm-hmm. Anybody can. And you don't need the education other than the ability to work hard. So, you know, I didn't jump into that originally. I dropped out of college twice because it just wasn't for me. And
Twice? What do you mean twice?
Twice. So I went to University of Buffalo for architecture because I wanted to build buildings. And then they made us like sculpt stuff out of clay. I'm like, this is terrible. And all my classes are at 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. And the bars are open till 4. Like, this is not going to work. And it didn't. And my parents finally said, okay, we're not paying for this anymore. Like, you need to come home. So then I went to local community college, MCC, and I was like, okay, well, I didn't like architecture. Let me downgrade my degree program to information technology. So I'm like, I can put wires together. I could build computers, networks, like whatever. Built my own gaming PC back when gaming PCs were first a thing, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I can do that. But again, I got to take calculus. I got to take geography. I got to write papers about history because I want.
Makes no sense.
So I dropped out of there, mostly because my grades were terrible. And again, my parents said, we're not going to pay for this. And I certainly wasn't going to pay for it. So then I jumped into construction. My dad knew a guy and fabricated and installed solid surface countertops, granite, things like that. And then I got into food service, bartending, waiting tables. And it was right around that time that I met my wife. And then we did 20 years in Christian church ministry because I loved the idea of empowering people and giving them a vision and a hope for a better life. And that came through the vehicle of faith for us. And then, COVID happened and the world was disrupted in a little bit. And we felt like that was the perfect time for a career switch. But we didn't really know quite what. Mm-hmm. My wife has an eye for design and aesthetic, and she has this uncanny ability to be able to like see through walls. So she could walk into your home, or she could walk into this beautiful space and be like, if you move that over there and you drop that ceiling down there and then you put that and you feature wall there and you change that lighting and you do full paint, same color walls and ceiling, like you're going to get the vibe. She has that weird ability.
Yeah.
I do not. I can just execute.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm an executor. So she's like, okay, let's go HGTV style and let's open a remodeling company. So we dove in, and riding the bull.
And here we are.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy ride.
Oh my gosh.
What a perfect dynamic though, like her having the design and the vision and you being able to execute, and it makes sense why you guys have been able to explode like this. So what does your company primarily do? Like what jobs would you say is the bulk of what you do, or do you kind of do a bunch of everything?
Yeah, it's the classic kitchen bath addition, kind of residential remodeling. Mm-hmm. But, we work with our architects. We have our own designers on payroll. So typically the process is quite disjointed, and there's lots of time gaps and money waste when you're trying to hire a designer and an architect and a contractor, and the contractor is then hiring subcontractors. There's so much slack in all of that, both in budget and in time, that the idea of doing a remodel feels terrible as a homeowner.
Yeah.
Feels incredibly
Stressful.
overwhelming. You're going to get taken advantage of. You've heard the terrible stories about chucking a truck, rolling up, and you want to hide your kids and hide your wife. Like, you don't, that's the stigma around it. Mm-hmm. And we want to change the industry. We don't want to just impact, Rochester, New York. We want to change the industry and the stigma around the industry. It's probably not a popular phrase, but we want to make remodeling great again. Like America was built on the blue collar.
Yeah.
So why does it have to be this class system where it's the white collar and then the blue collar? So, and it doesn't hurt that my wife is hot.
Me too. I have a hot wife.
Right. So like the idea of this design and build and all-inclusive, like you said, turnkey, kind of high-end remodeling, I think is a viable solution for people that have money in their pockets. They want to love the home that they have, but it's so overwhelming and intimidating and feels almost dangerous to think, could we do an addition? Or could we finally have that kitchen that I've been scrolling and seeing on Pinterest? So that's what we want to do. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing. The other thing that we're starting to launch is this idea of a punch list. Now, typically a punch list is at the end of the project. Historically, guys would walk around with a piece of paper with all the tasks on it, and they would have a hole puncher. And when the task was done, they would punch it out with a hole puncher. So punch list is synonymous in my industry for, it's that last 10%, kind of the small things. And do you own a home?
I do. Yep.
So you've probably got things around your house that you're like, oh man, that little bit of caulk down there.
Oh, always.
That one paint thing. Yep. Or man, if we could just change out that one vinyl window, or man, a small little patio, or this trim work, or an accent wall, or I'd really like a garbage disposal. I've never had one. Like all those small things, you try to contact a trusted company that you feel like their brand is their promise, and you would trust them in your home. You know they do a good job. They're a fair market value. All those companies are all doing big stuff.
Yeah.
But there's millions of homeowners like you and I that either they don't know how or they don't want to invest the time because their time is valuable. So there it sits, and then you're going to host Thanksgiving, and it's like, oh my gosh, I've been blinded of all this stuff all over the place. Like, who could I get to fix this that I trust? So we're playing around with this idea of H&L punch list.
And you just launched that, I think.
We did
right?
just launch
Saw
it
that video
a couple days ago,
Yep.
and we're already waitlisted. And it's really when we have the occasional lull in our schedule, like I got to keep the guys busy. I got to keep them employed. Yeah. And it's not my fault that the mason didn't show up because we don't do our own masonry, or, these lulls in the schedule keeps the guys busy, and it's a 1 day or a 2 day project. And we get to help guys like you and I that have a home, and we don't want to do this little stuff.
It's the perfect like synergistic like way to structure your calendar. Like, oh, we can fit this punch list job in here between these two bigger jobs, and it's such a great idea.
Yeah.
It really is.
Because last summer, we didn't have the punch list idea, and we had a lull in our calendar, and I had guys mowing my grass and trimming my bushes and painting stuff at my house because I'm not going to lay them off.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I want to create a company that you can be here for the long term. It's a career.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So I'm not going to tell these guys, sorry, I don't have work for you.
Seriously. Yeah. You talk about how you guys do, I think you said 95% of the work in-house yourself. You don't sub out hardly anything. Talk about why you have that mindset.
Yeah, we self-perform 95% partially because I'm a control freak. I'm also a recovering people pleaser. And I do have a dose of OCD.
I think I have all three of those things you just said.
Well, you're in good company. Yeah. So I think that's part of it. But more so, I want to control the experience for the client. I want to control the budget because my promise to the client is unless there's something crazy unforeseen or you just found more money and want an upgrade, the price is the price. Because I've done my due diligence to do the research and anticipate what I'm going to see behind that wall. Like, this is the price. You don't have to be scared that it's going to go up by 20% just because. Mm-hmm. So for us to self-perform all of the disciplines of construction, it allows us to control the client experience, the quality of the product, and the timeline. Because some of the horror stories are, yeah, he'd show up for 2 days and then I wouldn't hear from him for 2 weeks. Or they'd be there for 2 weeks and then I would expect the electrician to come and they either wouldn't show up the morning that I took off work so I could let them in, or I go to answer the door and they reek like pot and I've got my infant. Now what am I supposed to do? We got to get the electrical done, but I don't want to be here with my infant right now. So from the get-go, it was, we're going to do it all.
Yeah, and that's I'd imagine it's a challenge to do that, but like you just said, the customer experience that the customer gets is well worth it, and you guys putting in the work to be able to make that all in-house it'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah, and it's more expensive.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We pay the crew really well because they're multidisciplined, talented, skilled, respectable, clean cut, can look you in the eye.
Yeah.
Talk. Like,
how do you find these guys?
Man, you know what's funny is a couple of them were my youth in the youth group that I led, which is so fun to see these guys as full-fledged kicking butt men. And they're, so that's pretty cool. It's networking. And I think we're starting to create a brand that attracts great people.
Same here.
It attracts great people.
Yep.
Because, let's be honest. You want to do something that's somewhat cool. Like, let's just be honest about our vanity. Like, we want to do cool stuff, whether it's shoot cool videos or interview cool people or build a cool product for cool people. Mm-hmm. We may not use, the kids use, what do they use? Riz.
I don't know. I'm kind of phasing out. I'm kind of old now.
Thank God. Because it'd sound weird coming out of your mouth. At least I'm a dad. I can say that kind of stuff.
I think I'm still a millennial. I'm a 96. I think I'm on the very end of millennial.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. That's amazing. And we still haven't put out like an official job posting. It's been all referral network people who want to be part of what we're doing. And I think that's the way to build such a strong foundation, is having that, picking from that group of people first, and then you attract people, and then you can start putting out job postings. But having people you can trust, you handpicked in the beginning, is something, at least for us, that has really helped us.
Yeah, we hire, and it's not mine, it's not original, but we hire on 3. First is character, second is chemistry, third is competency. Although we work in a highly skilled industry and environment that demands product perfection, otherwise your house could burn down. Like there's high stakes.
There is, yep.
I leave that one for last because that can be trained. And oftentimes, if you get somebody that's been in the trades a long time, they actually have bad habits. They are outdated methods, outdated tools, old technology, old techniques. So I actually prefer to hire on character and chemistry.
Because you can train everything else.
You can train everything else.
Yep.
You can't train integrity.
Mm-hmm.
You can't train respect for others. You can't train kindness. And some people just don't jive with other people. So the chemistry on the team has to be great. You have to be able to land somewhat of a joke. You have to be able to take somewhat of a joke.
Yeah.
You have to be able to interact with the production manager and myself. And you have to be somewhat fun to be around. Otherwise, the product is affected. The experience is affected. So character, chemistry, and competence.
You're preaching, man. And I have the same philosophy. And what's funny is most of our team had zero camera experience. Zero, like including myself. I started a real estate photography business, and when I got my first camera, I didn't even know how to put the lens on correctly. Like that's how new and green I was to photography. And I learned, and I was able to learn the basics and be dangerous. But my first hire was my brother Keegan, and same thing with him. He was going to school for accounting. He dropped out of school to come join his brother doing all this, and it was a whole family intervention. And now my parents see, oh, I see what you guys were doing, and they see that we're successful now, and it's all good. But he zero camera experience, and now he is one of the best videographers I've ever seen. So, and he also has those traits, good character, integrity, all the things that you can't train, and most of our team does. And I don't care if you don't know how to work a camera. We can teach you that in a day, but finding good people, the right fit for your culture, that is the key.
You know what's interesting, and I'm being reminded of, what do you think off the top of your head is the greatest compliment your wife has ever given you?
She doesn't give me much compliments at all.
Oh, hopefully she's listening.
I'm just kidding. Probably my generosity.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's smart. The greatest compliment my wife ever gave me, she said, "I'm so glad I married such a competent man." Actually, that's wrong. Let me redo that.
Mm-hmm.
She actually said, "I'm so glad I married a capable man."
Capable.
She didn't say competent. She said, "Babe, you're capable of anything. If election season comes and it's Armageddon, I know you're going to keep our family safe. You are capable of learning anything. You're capable of doing anything." And it was right before I had a really hard season coming. She said, "I'm so glad I married such a capable person." And that was the greatest compliment she could have given me. She didn't say competent, but I'm capable of competency. Right? So when you hire in character and chemistry, when you get somebody of character and chemistry, they're most likely capable of learning anything and caring about what they're learning. Mm-hmm. They're capable. And if you start there, you can train anybody anything. And you 100%. Can train them the right way.
So started the business in 2019, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You've doubled in revenue every year, which is incredible. If you're comfortable, because I feel like it's inspiring for a lot of people who are just starting a business to see your growth track, sharing revenue numbers, sharing growth employees, and really how, in your opinion, you've been able to grow so fast.
Yeah. When we first started off, it was me doing everything, from billing and bookkeeping to hammers and nails. So our ability to generate revenue was limited to me. And I think the first year, it was like $30,000. Second year, I brought in a helper because I knew I had hit my lid. I had completely reached my capacity. I said it this way to my wife: I cannot work harder, and I will not work more. So I have to work smarter. Mm-hmm. And that version of working smarter was hiring somebody to help me. So we could do bigger projects that actually required 2 people to lift the cabinets or the countertop or whatever it may have been. And we knocked that out, and referrals started getting around, and our jobs were a little bit bigger, a little bit higher price point, a little bit nicer finishes, and it was $60,000. I was like, oh, is this what that scaling thing is all about? You know what I mean? And I was trying to get smarter with, and I'm a big systems and processes guy. I've always been that way. So now I'm like, okay, what kind of common tools? So now I'm buying my helper all the tools, but they're all the same. So now I can send the helper to go finish the job before the final walkthrough. I can start the next job because now he's trained a little bit. So we started to kind of divide and conquer a little bit, cover a little bit more territory and ground. And when I could afford it, I hired on another one. That first one was a little bit more independent. The second one worked with me. We buy the tools, we do the thing, we send them out. Now there's a 2-man team, and then there's me. What they can accomplish as 2 guys in one day, I could accomplish in one because of my experience. And nobody outworks me. I will be the hardest worker in the room. Always. I don't care if I'm 60. So then it doubled again. Clientele, referrals, all those kinds of things. I forgot what year we started the Instagram, but it was all word of mouth at that point. And then hired on first full-time, then second full-timer. Then I knew I needed somebody if I was going to scale and grow, and I was going to start working on financial projections, and I was going to start working on branding and marketing because I knew where it wanted to go. And I wanted to start figuring out how do we package this thing well for each team so that we could, because if we do it right for one team, scaling it only requires money. It doesn't require thinking. The systems and processes are built. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I need a production manager. I need somebody to oversee everything in process. So it was my most expensive hire ever. I couldn't afford it, but I knew we couldn't grow without it. So I took on debt, good debt, and hired the production manager. He had lots of experience in construction, but didn't want to break his body for the rest of his life, and had an aptitude for administration, management, scheduling, communication, those kinds of things. But I knew he'd garner the respect of these blue-collar worker guys, which still had character and chemistry, right? Mm-hmm. So then it was the production manager, and we doubled again. And now the jobs were getting bigger. Now, instead of them taking 2 or 3 weeks, now they were taking 6, 8, 10 weeks because of the scale of them had grown. So then we hired 2 more. And now we have 12 field crew. We have kind of an office manager, COO. We've got 2 additional designers and the production manager and myself. And I would say that there are 2 people in the organization that make more money than I do, because I would rather grow than get rich. The rich stuff, that'll come. I got time. I got lots of energy, and I got some time. So I want to keep scaling this thing, but do it in a healthy way. And it really is about the people that you hire, and it's the systems that support them. Like, I always feel, I spent 20 years drawing on whiteboards for leadership teams and volunteer teams. So I see in whiteboard.
Yeah.
And what I would often draw on the whiteboard is a desired outcome equals people over systems. The systems support the people who deliver the desired outcome. As long as your desired outcome is clear to you as the founder, and you can, I say this all the time, point the way and clear the path, and there's systems to support great people, the thing runs itself.
Wow. The part about you putting your ego aside and saying, I'm okay with like my team making more money than me, is something that and this is the first time I'm actually thinking about it, but I'm the same way. I really don't pay myself a ton. And in this next year, people on my team will probably be making just as much as me. And because I have the same mindset, I'm in it for the long run. I know that building enterprise value in a company is the goal for me. And that's where real wealth and equity and all that comes. So I'm okay with a short term of not making a ton of income right now. And we're also in Rochester, New York, where your dollar goes pretty far
Yeah.
compared to other places, right? So I don't need a ton of money to live a great life. And I would rather, just like you said, pour that back into the business, hire more people, scale and grow and build this culture. And that's what fires me up. And it's not the money. So that was a
No.
really great
And
point.
isn't it amazing that even as you said that, I watched you smile? Like, it is our joy to empower people to live their best life, not do their best work. Because they'll do their best work when they feel like and know that you as their employer are on their side for their life. Not just their livelihood, but their life. Like, you care about their spouse, their kids, their future. You care about their worries. You care about their health. And that needs to come from a genuine place, because all the leadership cliches are true if your heart's in them, versus using them to manipulate people, right? It's a different path. Now, lots of people who manipulate will be wealthy and rich and all those kinds of things, and that's fine. But how well do they sleep at night? And who's going to go to their funeral? Like, I'd much rather choose the path that you just described. Much rather.
Yeah. And the part about making sure your people, their personal lives are in check, because work's going to be a mess if their personal life is a mess. And recently I've set up personal meetings, check-ins with our team, and I haven't done this in the past. And I'm like, what am I doing here? I got to make sure, like, we just talk business all day long when we're here. I want to actually know what's going on in your life. Like, what trips do you have coming up? Like, how's family, how's friends and all that? And it's such a thing that I think leaders miss, and it couldn't be more important.
And when you're meant to be a leader and an entrepreneur, I feel like you are given the intuition to know when something's wrong in somebody's life. But if you just sail past it because all you can see is the work or output from that person's not going to be with you for very long. And they're not going to speak well of you after they leave. But even in that, it sounds self-serving. It's like, I'm going to be nice to this person because they affect my bottom line, or I'm going to be nice to this person because I want to be well spoken of. Like, that line that we walk in being transparent and genuine, I would describe that line as temptation. Like, we are walking on the line of temptation all the time as people with a gift of leadership to either use it for good or evil. Like, are we going to become Luke Skywalker, or are we going to become Darth Vader? Like, it's the same power. Like, what are we going to use it for? It's that timeless good versus evil. And I think you have to be well aware of your own humanity, your own shortcomings, your own pitfalls, to have compassion and humility for other people. When you boost yourself up and you think you're untouchable and you just kind of hang out in your ivory tower as a leader, like that's not inspiring at all.
That's not the type of leader I want to be. I want to be in the trenches with my guys. I want to build that camaraderie. I want them to feel like, yo, Cam's getting after it. Yeah. And that's just who I am to my core. And that's just how I run my business. So many just gold nuggets there, dude. That was amazing. Let's say I'm a young entrepreneur watching this. I want to start a business in the trades like Luke. What advice do you have if you can put yourself in their shoes, kind of rewind back to 2019? What is something you wish you knew back then as they begin their journey into starting their business?
Yeah, I think you've got to swallow your pride and realize you're not good at it yet. And amazing things can happen when, in humility, you ask people who are incredible at the thing you're entering into, and you don't view them as competition. And you're generous and you say, hey, can I bring lunch to you and your crew on the job site? And I just want to chat. I just want to see what you're doing.
Yep.
I want to celebrate your work. Like, I wish I had been more secure with my own insecurities. I wish I had seen my insecurities and been okay with them instead of trying to cover them and hide them with busyness. And I wish I had surrounded myself with more cheerleaders instead of being nervous that I was going to be found out that I have no idea what I'm doing.
None of us do.
No, none of us do. I still, like, if you're a leader and your company is growing, it's the first time you're doing everything all the time. So like tomorrow, my day tomorrow, I've never done it before. I don't even know what it is yet. My production manager is probably going to tell me what to do tomorrow. I may have never done it before, but I need to be okay with the fact that if you're growing, you're going to be in a space tomorrow that you've never been before.
And that's a beautiful thing, because if you live a life where you wake up and you do the same thing over and over and over, that's my definition of hell, actually. If I'm not pushing the boundaries of expanding myself personally, professionally, mentally, spiritually, like all of that, what good is life without doing that? Fear is what stops people from doing that. But I think there's a lot. I saw this analogy. I don't know where I saw it, but the analogy is like growth happens when you're just on the edge of anxiety, but also still comfort. You're not so far doing something so far beyond your comfort zone that you're just going to crumble and from fear, but you're constantly touching that anxious kind of feeling. And that's where the growth happens, because then you do it and you're like, I didn't even realize that I could do that. And then the next thing, and then the next thing. And that's how growth happens.
Yeah, it's the universal law of strain. Like, your muscles will not grow unless you put them under strain. It's time under tension. And unless you increase the weight, you're never going to increase your strength. But it's uncomfortable. But we get to choose. Isn't it wonderful that in life we actually do get to choose? And I think one of the biggest things that frustrates me is society would tell us we don't have choice, we just have paths. There's these predetermined paths of career instead of just choice. Because choice is an endless ocean. A path is a well-worn trail, but you better not get off that path. And in life, we can either choose to be bored or choose to be challenged, but challenge comes with strain. Mm-hmm. So you got to know what you're choosing. Like, if you're starting off as an entrepreneur, you got this crazy, awesome, amazing idea that you know the world needs or your community needs, you need to know this is going to be a challenge. I'm going to want to quit. I'm going to want to give up. There are going to be people in my life that I trust that tell me I should give up and get back on the path. There's going to be people that tell me I'm crazy, that it's not going to work. And if they don't tell me, I'm going to tell myself every single day. And when you anticipate the enemy, he loses his power. So anticipate it. Count the cost. Understand what it's going to take. And then get in the ditch and dig.
And if you go in with that mindset, everything you just said, you will find the strength in having a strong why too. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that. Like, do you have a why behind everything you're doing?
Before I had kids, my why was tied to me. Now that I have kids, my why is tied to them. But not because I want to leave them a bunch of wealth or ease of life. I actually don't want to. I want to make their lives uncomfortable because I want to prepare them for greatness, right? Mm-hmm. But I want them to see their mom and their dad dare greatly, do something a little crazy, count the cost, say, here's why we can't go to Disney this year. I think that's part of my why. I think the other part of my why is helping people understand and discover that they are capable of way more than what they think themselves or society puts on them. Like, the path is a bunch of BS. Like, the Almighty gave us freedom. as the first gift next to life. So why don't we exercise our freedom? And I'm not talking about patriotic freedom, although that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the freedom of choice. Like, why would God give us a choice if he wanted us to have the best life? Mm-hmm. Like, why not just prescript it? Because that's not joy. Joy is choosing my own path and cutting through the forest and grinding up the stumps and leaving the breadcrumbs maybe for my children to follow or others to be inspired before they break off on their own path in the woods. And they can do what they've watched me do, and they can do it even better. Like, that's the why. That's what gets me excited. And you can do that in any context. I've chosen residential remodeling, but it's the exact same principles. It's a similar exercise of that freedom in any kind of environment. I mean, yours included. What you're doing here, we're using the same principles for the same reason with a similar heart with great people. It's just different contexts.
And on that note, like, I was just telling my team this the other day, like, it doesn't matter what we're doing. Like, for us, it's videography, but we could be building any business and everything we're doing is the same. It's just what you're providing, the product, the service. We would crush it in any industry, and I'm confident the team we have, we would find a way to crush it.
Yeah.
And when you can build a team like that, you're just unstoppable. I saw in your Instagram bio, you had a sentence that caught my attention. It says, loving the tension between living simple and making an impact. What does that mean to you?
So I'll reference the Bible because that's a big reference for my whole life. Paul in the Bible, he says this, and I've been meditating on this and thinking about it and trying to crack the code for the last year. He says, I've learned the secret of contentment, which implies a couple different things. It has to be learned, and it's a secret. To be content is something that we constantly have to search and find. It's not an arrival point. So living this tension between being, I should update it, being content is my new word, and making an impact. That's a real tension. I think especially as entrepreneurs, because our brains just don't turn off. We're solving problems all the time, consciously or subconsciously. Mm-hmm. I'll be just staring out a window sometimes. My kids are like, Dad, are you okay? Yeah, man. I just solved like 4 things. I got to send a quick email. Like, it just doesn't stop. Not that it's supposed to, but those rare moments where I can rest in contentment, enjoying my kids or my wife or a hike or a lift or something. If I'm absent from those for long, I become a bad leader. And now I'm just driving and driving and driving. And that's nauseating to be around. It's exhausting.
And it's tough because in the beginning, you have to have the savage mentality of, I got to work. This is a season of my life when I just have to work, like work. But I was just listening to a podcast the other day about the never-ending cycle of an entrepreneur of exactly what you're talking about, trying to chase their dreams and be ambitious and like achieve their goals. But at the same time, we only have limited amount of days on this earth. And if you're constantly pushing it off into the future, I'll enjoy the fruits of my labor next year. And that's something I struggle with so much because over the past 5 years, it's all I've known, trying to build this business to where it is now. And, you know, I'm not calling myself old, but I'm on the later half of my 20s now. And I want to remember these years, and I want to have no regrets, and I want to live my life now and enjoy the things that I want to do now and not wait. So it is a constant balancing act of keeping that tension in check. So I love that when I saw that in your bio.
Yeah, we want to make an impact. You know, we want to make an impact for those that work with us. We want to make an impact for those that we serve, our clients, our customers. We want to make an impact in the communities that we're in. We want to make them better. The truth is, 100 years after we're dead, where's it going? I mean, it might get handed off to the next generation, which would be amazing, but like, it doesn't even matter if my name's written on it.
Nope.
So what we leave has to be the most valuable things, not just a lot of things. So making that impact, like, what do we mean by impact? Do we mean that we want our names to be remembered? Or do we mean that we want to build something that helps a lot of, that's legacy, right?
Yeah.
It's
and
different.
for me, it is the latter. And I've thought about that a lot because a lot of people do say like, oh, I want a statue of myself. I want to be remembered. And 3 generations down the line, no one's going to remember who the hell you are. So like, I just want to make an impact on the world today and the people in my life that I love and do things that are cool with people I like. And that's the only thing I'm chasing. When I'm dead, like, I'm dead, you know what I mean? And it's kind of a weird thing to think about, but I just want to do cool things for the rest of my life, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is the old saying, begin with the end in mind. So, if there's somebody starting out and wants to be an entrepreneur and build something or launch something, like, begin with the end in mind, not just for your product or your service, but for your life. And how is that going to fund and fuel your life as well as those who are involved in it? Because that's the thing that lasts the longest and has the most impact, And I say that, but I don't really know what my end looks like. I know that I want to travel with Hannah and have adventures with her and my kids and my grandkids. I don't know if you need more specificity than that or not. I'd like to build something that runs itself, which to a large degree it already does. Yep. So I get to throttle the growth. I can slow it down. I can speed it up. And that is a very fun but still stressful season to be in.
Yeah.
But I can't lose the end in mind. Otherwise, I'm doing it for the proverbial likes.
Yeah. And to your point about, like, you don't know what your future, you can have an idea of what your future looks like, but things change. Things can change fast. Like, in a year, you could be in a completely different spot and your life can be on a new trajectory. So, and that's the tough part about goals and goal setting. Like, you should have a general vision, right, of where you want to go, but the day-to-day tactical way you're going to get there, I let that flow.
Yep. Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible goal setter. I'm terrible. I'm much more of a impulsive, instinctual kind of person, which maybe I need to mature in that part of my leadership. But the idea of sitting down and writing out goal sessions, it just sounds it sounds like torture. And maybe the reason it does is, what if I don't make them? What if I don't hit them? Like, what is that going to... Because we're all incredibly insecure kids inside.
Oh, yeah.
Like that, I don't think that really goes away. I think that's part of the human condition.
I think the goal of one's life is to chip away at that throughout their life, but I agree. I think everyone has something they're insecure about.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's knowing it, right?
Yeah.
It's knowing it. Know your dark side, know the demons, and then supplement with staffing.
Can you explain the importance of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable?
If you don't get comfortable with being uncomfortable, life will chew you up. Life will belittle you. It'll make you feel small and incapable. Because as soon as a situation comes that's uncomfortable, if you feel like, if you take it as an L, if you redefine it as a loss, or you see it as a stop sign, instead of just an uncomfortable season or day or conversation or financial meeting or sales pitch, and it's uncomfortable and you run away from it, it's going to be a hard life. It's going to be a really hard life. And I think in my life, I've become very uncomfortable in being uncomfortable, so much so that I seek the uncomfortable. Whether it's physical training or it's survival type scenarios, because I get out in the woods a lot, or it's conversations with people that you feel like you're way in over your head. If you can get comfortable in your own skin, in that space, understanding who you are, where you're at, and not being ashamed about it, and you can just push just a little bit, I think life can deal really well with you.
They're just scared to even get a little uncomfortable. And if I could just say one thing to like society and what's helped me transition from a stable corporate career to venturing off into the crazy world of entrepreneurship and the unknown, being okay with not knowing exactly how tomorrow is going to go has changed my life. It has changed my life for the better, and it's created a new version of myself, because so much of business growth is personal growth and vice versa. A business will change you. Like if you successfully run a business, you will be a completely different person year after year after year. And I'm the same way as you now. I lean into being uncomfortable, and I know if I'm feeling that inside, I'm like, oh, this is a good day. This means that there is growth ahead, and you might not see that growth until months down the line. But you'll know, you can track it back to, oh, when I did that, it allowed me to get to here. So,
I think for a long time, and I think I'm still in it, but for a long time, entrepreneurship is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But then all of a sudden, it's 2 leaps forward, 1 step back.
Exponential growth.
It is exponential, and we're just starting to experience that now, and it's really, really exciting. But back to the uncomfortable part, like, since when did being uncomfortable become bad? Like, when in society, at what generation do people label this is uncomfortable, therefore it's bad. It's bad for me. It's not right for me. I need to leave, or I need to get out of this situation. Or like, if it's uncomfortable, chances are that you're supposed to lean into it instead of back away from it and cancel it and label it. And, I feel like I'm turning into an old guy that's like kids these days, growing up on the screens, but it's probably due to my industry as well. I mean, there's very few people that know how to properly swing a hammer. I'll teach you. Or you just call us and we'll do it for you.
I'll call you.
Yeah. Your time's more valuable somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's, I think it is a societal thing right now, the avoidance of being uncomfortable. And maybe that's why we lack incredible entrepreneurs or people that are actually stepping out into it, because it's a gray area. You're stepping into a storm of unknown and uncomfortable.
And I was telling you, like, you were asking, what real power means and what the goal of the podcast is. And it's to create entrepreneurs, because you just said it. We need more good entrepreneurs in this world who are doing good. Because like you said, you can do 2 paths. You can be a horrible human being and go build all the money and wealth you want, or you can make an impact.
Yep.
In this show, I hope that in a decade, I get messages of people saying, I listened to you and Luke on whatever today's date is, and it changed the way I think, and I was able to build something great because of it. And that, if I can do that for the rest of my life, like help create more of those people, that's a life well spent to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Empowering people is, we've all had people in our lives, that one person. For me, his name's Rob, one of my best friends. And he is the eternal optimist, which helps. because when we were thinking about doing this, he's like, you'll crush it. I'm like, well, what tells you I'll crush it? He's like, I don't know. I just know you will. And even that very subjective answer to a very specific question, how do you know? How do you know? What I was asking him for is to tell me I'm capable. And that's what he's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're going to crush it. It's going to be fine. Like, go do it. And I heard a great psychologist say, one of the best ways to answer people when they are asking if they should do something and take a risk is you absolutely should take the risk. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be wildly successful. Then you pause. But if you're not, I'll be right here. That's empowering. It's not, yeah, you can do anything. Like, you can, but if it fails, I'm not going anywhere. Now you're ready to go.
I love that. And if you can surround yourself with those type of people in your life, you're unstoppable. What does good leadership look like to you?
I think good leadership is caught, not taught. I think you should be able to say, follow me as I'm trying to do this thing. I think good leadership is transparent. I think good leadership is vulnerable. I think good leadership is, like I said before, pointing the way, clearing the path. Good leadership isn't always describing the how. Because people are incredible. They want to discover the how. You're not hiring minions. You're hiring incredibly capable people with character and chemistry. You've taught them things. They've been trained. Like, let the people loose. Let them loose. Point the way, clear the path, give them everything they need to absolutely crush it, but don't tell them how. That's somebody I want to work for. That's something I want to build. How are we going to build this house? There's blueprints, there's tools, there's a bunch of lumber. Like, go. I mean, I'll make sure it's not going to fall down. I'll come look. We're going to follow code and all that. But yeah, go. I've never done this before. It's okay. I'm right here. Got you. I believe you can. Like that, those are signs of a good leader. It's not carrots and sticks. It's not let me dangle more money or let me drive you. It's, you've probably heard the Daniel Pink speech before. What actually motivates people? It's three things. It's the desire to master a skill. It is autonomy. And it's the ability to tie what I'm doing today to a greater good. If you can have those things, the ability to master something, autonomy to do it, and tying it to something that is way bigger than themselves, I'll run through a wall. Like, let's go.
I haven't heard that. I love that, though.
It's incredible. Like, a good leader does those three things and gets out of the way.
I mean, I'm kind of speechless. That was such a good answer, and it resonates with me so much because of where we're at in our business now, too, is that I have leaders underneath me. And they're leading the charge just as much as I am now. And I'm not telling them what to do. And I'm on some days I'm getting messages. I'm like, holy crap. Like, oh, we're going this direction now. We're doing this thing. And it didn't come out of my brain.
Probably a better idea than you would have come up with.
100%. Having faith in other people to take your business to places that you didn't even think was possible. And then being okay with that and saying, how can I support? That's a leader right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, a lot of people say, well, we got to flip the hierarchy on its head. The leader needs to be at the bottom supporting everybody. And I agree with that to some extent, but how about we just stand side by side? And, the pay scales might be slightly different and the stress levels might be slightly different because, let's be honest, our employees don't have the same worries and concerns that we may have about the business. They may not take that home, and they shouldn't have to. So there is some inequity if we're standing side by side that may not look good on a whiteboard. But if you can create a culture that feels like that,
Yep.
it's like an incredible offensive line. And leaders should be able to some degree, rather be on the offensive line and put somebody else as quarterback. And then when he or she throws the touchdown, you race to the end zone to try to give them a high five. Like that's great leadership, where it's not about the leader. Like make everybody else the hero and watch your business grow.
What do you like to do for fun?
Build H&L Design and Build.
That's a good answer.
It is fun. You know, I've said it before. Love what you do in your work every day of your life. People are like, no. It's love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. I'm like, that's a bunch of BS because I'm working and I'm loving it. So I like building the business. I do like being a craftsman. I do like building things. I like putting the tools on. I keep telling our lead team, like, a win for this company would be when I show up as a surprise on one of the job sites. I look the project leader in the face and I say, I work for you today. What do you want me to do? And I put on my tool belt. That would bring me so much joy. And that's what I occasionally can do now, and hopefully I can do more of in the future. So I like doing that. I like training. I like lifting. I like running. We like backpacking and hiking, rock climbing. I used to be an avid mountain biker. So I like doing a lot of that kind of stuff. I like golf, not great at it.
Same boat.
But I can keep up.
I'm like a bogey golfer.
Yeah, I'm a beer hole. My buddy says it's either a golfing day or a drinking day. You usually know by the end of hole one.
We'll have to golf for sure sometime.
Yeah.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. I'm a simple man. I love the outdoors and getting after it in the gym and building my business. So we're on the same wavelength there.
I would say, kind of along those lines, but back to what we would advise entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. If you really want to build a business and help people, you've really got to simplify your life. Because you can only do 3 things very well. For me, it's faith, it's my family, and it's my business. I can do those things really, really well. In the margins, I fit physical fitness. In the margins, I fit hobbies. In the margins, I even fit friends. Now, most people, they don't have the business as one of them.
Yeah.
So you see them have lots of hobbies.
Yep.
You see them have lots of dinner parties. You see them have lots of other things. And as an entrepreneur, you can look at them and be like, I don't have time for that. Well, you're probably on the right path because you're trying to do 3 things really, really well. And they interchange throughout life, right? Once my kids are off and gone, I'll stay connected with them, but I might have a little more time for something else.
I love it. For me, it's health, wealth, love, and happiness. And those are kind of the 4 pillars. I heard someone say that, and it's just stuck with me ever since. And I think the pursuit of the first 3, health, wealth, love, leads to happiness. And that's
well said.
That's how I see it. Because everyone these days, I think, how do I achieve happiness? It's such a profound question, and I don't think there's a real true answer to it. I think it's the pursuit of meaningful things in your life. And I think that's what leads to happiness. And I know, at least for me, when I'm not in pursuit, doing the things that I know will get me closer to being better in those areas of my life, is when I feel the most anxious and out of place. And that's not to say, like, I love vacations. I love to unwind. I love to have time to just do nothing, but making sure that I'm continuing to climb throughout my life, I think, is when I'm at my happiest.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting? You remember the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness? Like, happiness is the pursuit. Like, I heard somebody say And he's a really profound entrepreneur in the nonprofit space. And he held this big conference, and in front of him were all these other entrepreneurs. And he said, he started off, and he's the keynote speaker. He's all excited. Everybody's pumped to get there. They're trying to get to the front row. He walks out onto the stage. He pauses long and hard. He scans the crowd, and he says, "What if the work is the reward?" You could have hear a pin drop. And it absolutely blew their minds. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm working for reward. What if the work is the reward? What if you could find yourself in a space in the best years of your 40 years of your life, the prime 40 years of your life, in the most time you spend awake, in something that for the majority of the time makes you happy?
It's a life well lived, in my opinion.
Right.
And back to this, I hope this podcast is a vehicle to help people get there, because I'm happy, man. Everything from here on out is, I'm playing with house money. That's how I feel. I wake up every day fired up to come here with the team and do cool things with them. And financially, I'm good. And if I can help other people get to that place, and I see you're in it too, then that's a major win.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a life well lived, like
It's a
you
life
said.
well lived. Any parting wisdom for our audience? And maybe a little more tactical. Any resources? Let's go back to maybe someone wants to start a business like you in the trades. Is there any like YouTube channel, online course community that you're part of that has helped you and cut the learning curve down and sped up your growth?
Oh man, there's so many. I'd actually just encourage people to reach out to me with their specific asks.
Because you can kind of direct
Oh
them.
yeah. Because that's the other thing as an entrepreneur is as soon as you can afford it, and oftentimes right before you can afford it, you've got to outsource stuff that you're not good at or that you don't enjoy or doesn't bring you life to free up your time to do what only you can do. And there's a bit of a revolution in the blue collar world right now. There's some incredible resources out there that are easy to use. They're intuitive. They integrate AI. It's really, really, really good stuff. And it does quicken the learning curve in a very, very complex industry. Mm-hmm. So there's a ton. Reach out to me.
So hit up Luke if you need help with that. Do you have a favorite book?
Leadership book?
Any book, personal, professional, just had a big impact on your life.
So in being a man, husband, father, there's a book called Becoming a King. It's incredible.
I'll have to check that out.
It is so empowering in the right way, for generosity, for legacy. Like, who were you made to be, and where are you not grabbing the bull by its horns in your life? And it gives an enormous amount of permission. And it does come against toxic masculinity. Mm-hmm. So it's a great book. As far as leadership goes, I think Lencioni.
Yep.
Patrick Lencioni. If you're going to read one Lencioni book, read The Advantage. Okay. It's kind of a summary of all of his books.
I'm reading the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team right now. I read The Motive. I think that's his too. I've heard that one you just said though is a good summary.
Advantage
of everything.
is good.
Yeah.
Leaders Eat Last. You gotta read that. That's fantastic. And then really with life, just unashamed. Like the Bible is very.
You are the 4th person to say the Bible on the show.
I mean, there's a thread here, Cam.
I love it.
The Bible is extremely confusing to read. Can be. But there are enormous amounts of resources out there to help someone read it because it's more than a book. There's life in it. It's changed my life. Changed my life. I was a rotten, terrible, selfish.
No, you weren't.
Human being. Oh, if you met 17-year-old Luke, that was a D-bag.
Well, you're not anymore, Luke.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh man, this has been unbelievable. Just the wisdom and the honesty. I appreciate so much of the transparency because I know for me, as I was starting my business, I appreciated the people who were open and honest with numbers and struggles and just being so transparent of what it really takes to be an entrepreneur, and that not every day is sunshine and rainbows and it's hard, but when you embrace that hard, that's when all the good in life comes. So thank you for everything you've shared today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That's it right there. If you have to take away one thing,
yep,
get uncomfortable. And we will definitely have you back on the show maybe sometime next year, see if you double your business again. And I'll be looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
So where can people connect with you, learn more about your business, anything you want to plug?
Yeah. Instagram at our H&L account. My personal account's not super active.
I just followed you, by the way.
Thank you. And if it's a business related thing, if you're comfortable with it, I'm fine giving out my cell phone.
Of course, I'm comfortable with it. It's your cell phone.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, totally.
Love
to help people.
What's your cell phone number?
585-451-2428. That's 585-451-2428.
Phone's going to blow up now. You're going to instantly regret that.
Probably.
No, that audience isn't that big yet. All right, guys, we will catch you in the next episode of the Real Power Podcast. Have a great one. Peace.